Hello YouTubers, Sir Libel here. Today I would like to make another review because I haven't made a review in a very long time, and I'm going to start making some more reviews. And not only game reviews, movie reviews too. Well, this is going to be a review on a video game that I like. And it's another Resident Evil game, and that's Resident Evil 2, in which Resident Evil 2 is published and developed by Capcom, and it was released in 1998 for the PS1, and then a year later for the N64, and then it was released in 2000 for the Dreamcast, and it was re-released in 2003 for the GameCube, in which I played both the PS1 and N64 version, in which I like the PS1 version better for some reason, which again I'm a Sony fan. Anyways, Resident Evil 2 is known to be one of the best Resident Evil games in the series, in which I agree. The game is pretty epic, and this game is a sequel to Resident Evil 1, which came out in 1996. And it takes place 2 months later after the events of Resident Evil 1, in which it involved the Spencer Mansion incident. So again, it's 2 months later in Raccoon City, which is a city near the Arklay Mountains where the Spencer Mansion is located. There's been reports of zombies and these strange mutations. And it's late September, and throughout those weeks there have been more zombies being produced, and the number of zombies in the city was so abundant that the government had to barricade the whole entire city just so the zombies couldn't escape through any part of the United States. And one day, there's this rookie cop by the name of Leon S. Kennedy, who is the main playable character of the game, in which he was arriving late to his job because it was his first day on the Raccoon City Police Force, and he was driving his police car around the street. He stopped and he saw a dead body on the middle of the street, and he finds out that the city is being overrun by zombies. And he meets this 20-year-old girl named Claire Redfield, who is looking for her brother Chris Redfield, who was in Resident Evil 1. And they both try to escape the zombies, in which they hop into the police car and they crash their cars into a pole, and Leon tells Claire to report to the police station. And you can play as either two of the characters, which you can either play as Leon or Claire. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there are 2 scenarios. There's an A scenario and a B scenario. The A scenarios any scenario can be played by either character, in which a scenario involves, like for example, Leon's side of the story or Claire's side of the story. And when you beat the first scenario, you go to the B scenario, and then you go to the other character's part of the story. And also, in the B scenario, you get an extra ending, in which that's pretty good. No. So, I just want to talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is excellent, in which you walk around these pre-rendered backgrounds, in which the pre-rendered backgrounds are very realistic looking, and you have to escape these zombies, in which you can either escape the zombies or you can just shoot them. But I prefer for you to try to escape the zombies, because in this game you really need to preserve your ammunition, because trust me, you will need it for the later boss battles in the game. And trust me, I learned my lesson on that. And like 5 areas in the game, in which the first one is the city streets. The main one is the police station, which is a lot like the mansion in Resident Evil 1. It doesn't look that much like a police station to me. And then you have the sewers. Then you have the marshalling yard. And last but not least, you have the Umbrella Laboratory. Now, I have to say that my favorite area in this game is the police station, because there was a lot of puzzle solving to do, in which you had to find a lot of items such as keys, stones, and stuff. And that's one thing I like about survival horror games. It's not just about running from zombies. It's also about solving puzzles and preserving your ammunition. Also, the graphics in this game they're pretty decent. They're decent for its time. It wasn't as good as the pre-rendered graphics from the previous games like Final Fantasy VII or Resident Evil, but I still like the graphics because they look realistic. And some of the graphics in some parts were kind of blurry, in which it did make the backgrounds in the game look a bit clumsy, but still, I like the graphics. Even the graphics they feature in the CG movies. Also, I want to talk about the weapons. The weapons they're pretty effective. Which your main weapon that you use is by each character is your handgun, in which each character has a different array of weapons. In which Leon, he carries around a handgun, a magnum, and a shotgun, while Claire, she carries around a handgun, a submachine gun, a bow and arrow, well, I should say a crossbow, and a grenade launcher. So I think Claire has more weapons than Leon does. Let me go through some other parts of the storyline, in which after Leon and Claire leaves the police station, they head into the sewers to escape the city. And while at it, they meet these two characters. Well, in Leon's story, he meets Ada Wong, and Claire, she meets this little girl named Sherry Birkin, who is like 12 years old, and she's a schoolgirl. And they all go into the sewers, and Claire meets this woman, which her name is Annette Birkin, who is Sherry's mother. And Claire finds out that the one that started the T-virus was William Birkin, who was Sherry's dad. In which Sherry's dad used the G-virus, which is another type of virus. And William turned into a tyrant. Not a tyrant. I don't think it's a tyrant. But he still turned into a zombie creature, though. And he's the main boss of the game. And also another main boss is the tyrants, in which you fight them in the B scenarios with either character, in which he's twice as hard as William Birkin. Then, after they get into the sewers, they go into the marshalling yard where they face off with William Birkin in the elevator, and then they make their way into the laboratory, and they find William Birkin again, and you engage in a final battle with them inside one of those rooms which they have all the stuff in there. I think they had the virus inside that room, though. And then at the end of the A scenario, either character, either Claire or Leon, depending on what character you're playing as, yells at you to hurry inside the train and give Sherry the antidote because she's being infected by that virus, which is the T virus. In which the T virus is the virus that's infecting all the citizens of Raccoon City and has been turning them into zombies. And then scenario 8 ends with Leon, Claire, and Sherry inside the train. Now many people believe that Ada is dead, in which really she doesn't die. In which rumors that she's been saved by Albert Wesker or something, and I can tell because she was in Resident Evil 4. Anyways, scenario B is different from scenario A. You go through a different route. And scenario B is more difficult than scenario A because, first of all, you have to fight the tyrant, which will annihilate you in like 2 or 3 hits if you're not careful. And then in the final battle against T, and this is why I tell you to save your ammo, because the tyrant's final form in this game is hard. He is difficult to beat. He will kick your butt in like 3 hits if you're not careful. And you really need to make sure you need to have ammo. Not just handgun ammo, also magnum ammo, grenade ammo, shotgun ammo, whatever type of ammunition you have. Because trust me, he will kick your butt if you're not careful. And then after you kill the tyrant, you have to go on a train that you went on in scenario A, and then they do the same thing in scenario A. They give Sherry the antidote, and now they have to escape the laboratory before it explodes. And while at it, William Birkin's very final form sneaks into the train, and Leon has to fight it, in which the battle is not as hard as the tyrant's battle, though. And then after you defeat him, there's this cutscene in which Leon and Claire are still fighting off William Birkin, and then they leap off the train and they run into outside, in which the tunnel explodes and William dies. And then Claire warns Leon, and Leon warns Claire that they still have stuff to do, in which they have to stop Umbrella and they have to find Claire's brother. Now Sherry, she gets taken care of by the U.S. government, and Leon gets taken care of by the U.S. government as well, and Leon becomes a U.S. government agent. And I have to say, this game is very good. I mean, if you have never played this game before, you should play it, because it has a very good storyline and a very excellent gameplay to it. Well, anyways, that's all. I'm Sir Libel1.